Smacking this balls like in tennis, sucking this dick till he finished.
All right, welcome to a normal episode of Contrarians of the Cosmos, C to the C, and Tyson. I'm starting to build a complex here, or realize that
Oedipus complex?
No, that was developed a long time ago. That has been fully developed in a lot of different ways that we do not have enough time for. But I'm starting to think that this project entirely is parallel to the show Survivor, where we vote people off the island because we're losing people. Okay, it didn't used to be like this. So we lost Adam a while ago.
You know the graphic that shows up when you watch the show? What is it, like 28 weeks later? The zombie thing. It's officially 20. I think it's like 15 days since we last heard from Ari, but you know. He's out there. He's doing his thing. Hopefully.
Exactly. I thought you were gonna go in the direction of 200 weeks after the podcast has started, 100 weeks after and like some people are missing, not around anymore. So yeah, we lost Adam to the bureaucracy complex of Australia, and Ari, I'm considering this is not a joke. If any of you may know where he is, please contact us. So I guess it's normal for us to have a schizophrenically unwell individual on the show, but we haven't heard from him. We've tried to get in touch with him. So I think this is a announcement first episode, a serious announcement episode, and then we'll also have some lighthearted discussion as well. But where in the world is Ari San Diego?
So if you see a disheveled British man talking about aliens and conspiracies, call the police immediately, and then call us.
And also they're tempered alien conspiracies, not a British man who's talking about real out there alien concepts, just ones you would hear on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, just conspiracies that line up with the CIA talking points for some weird reason.
Exactly. That's the guy we're looking for. So Ari, if you're out there, this is a coded message to respond to our text messages. Maybe wait, what if we have to say it in a funny way? We have to be like, "Ooh, the Nephilim will come back if you text back this number to prove you're alive." I don't know. How do we get them to respond?
Some say the Necronomicon is hidden between the lines of texting us back.
Yeah, there you go. Of putting the secret
texting
message
us back
into
is
the
like
text back
the
box.
secret Lovecraftian ritual to unlock the Necronomicon that you love so much.
Oh my goodness. So that would be a good leeway to go into housekeeping a bit here. I think we're going to come out with a few extra things. Again, my real estate market episode is just on the back burner. We'll just throw that one out there when we got too much downtime, but we've been pretty consistent now. And we're thinking about doing and I think it'd be an interesting time to do it because they just had an interesting conference call, and we like talking about media and entertainment here. A Star Wars post-op, you know.
I would love to do that.
Yeah. So what's that called after someone dies? Not the mortician, the post
Autopsy?
Yes, exactly. Star Wars autopsy report. And it'll be fun because I am a learned PhD level Star Wars fanatic who does not like what Disney has done with the series, and you kind of hate it, or at least appreciate it, but you aren't a lifer like me, so I like talking to you.
I'm not a PhD, but I do have a bachelor's degree. Let's put it there.
There we go.
I have an associate's degree.
At least some people are finishing their educations.
I made it past Force 101. Let's say.
Yeah, now get by Computer Science 101. Sorry, I'm leaning too far into that one. But yeah, so we're doing well. We got a decent pace. We're well into the year. And it's not today. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. And I wanted to point out, because I just seen it coming through on my Twitter, especially the Dakota Johnson press tour has been hilarious. Madam Web comes out tomorrow. And I will have you know, aside from being a Sydney Sweeney fan, like every guy is, Isabel Moner will be in it. That's not her name anymore. I think it's Isabel Merced now. Yes, she will be in it. I do like Dakota Johnson. I read that Emma Roberts was in it, but I haven't seen her in any of the previews. So I am going to be getting a very lonely matinee ticket on Saturday and doing what needs to be done. And
I have zero interest in the film, but every time I hear about it, they stack more and more fucking waifus from TV. So I think if they keep stacking more of them, I might have to check it out. You know.
Yeah, they have what you're looking for in there. The problem
Dude,
is
if there's a Jenna Ortega cameo, I might just have to go to the IMAX.
They're not far off from that. It's just funny that they have all these attractive women in it, and you can tell they're not leaning into their sexualization at all. Which is
good.
We're not there for their acting. No, I'd like to see some of that with women I find attractive. I'm not there to see Sydney Sweeney be an austere, Victorian woman, Puritan on screen. I'm there to, get a little bit more out of it. But it doesn't matter. I like bad movies, and Sony is the master of alternative Spider-Man foe / I don't even know, the comrade movies that don't have Spider-Man in them, and I'm sure it'll be terrible. But I'll get my cookie dough bites, I'll get my popcorn, and sit back and see where mediocrity takes me, which I like doing, by the way. And we've talked about the theater buff so many times before. I remember when I took off work one day and I thought, what should I even do? I just needed to take a break. And I went and saw Uncharted alone in theaters. One of the dumbest movies I've ever seen in my life. Do I regret the decision? No. Had a great day. Hung out, watched a relaxing, stupid movie. And we kind of need to get back to that a little bit in entertainment.
Dude, one of my favorite memories was when I was 10. My parents dropped us off at the mall to watch a movie, and we went in to watch some dumb comedy. But then afterwards, after me and my brother left the cinema, we're like, hold on, we're still inside the area where they check the tickets, so we could just walk to another fucking theater and then watch another movie we wanted to. So we just did that for fucking 3 movies, and then my parents picked us up at 5 p.m. after all that. That was so sick, dude. We watched Transformers fucking 2, I think, and then yeah.
A cinema day built for young men going to see Transformers.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's funny, when I was when I went to see Uncharted by myself, I thought, it's a Tuesday. This movie's been out for 3 or not more than that. It's been out for a month at this point. It's on its last leg. There's going to be no one in this theater, and that's great. So I go in to watch it. I got my popcorn. It's early in the day. And there's just a couple 4 rows in back of me going at it. They were making out. I couldn't spot where anyone's hands were while I was walking by. And I could understand if they were teenagers trying to find somewhere to be alone, because that's the way it would be. That's the way you romanticize it in an old movie. You're alone in a movie theater. You're 14, 15 years old with your girlfriend, and you hold hands and then make out, do whatever else. But these were full-grown adults. They looked to be in their late 20s, maybe late 30s, just going at it. And I said, this is probably an affair. But the noise became so distracting while I was trying to listen to Tom Holland deliver his lines.
Just fucking squelching noises halfway through.
Oh, yeah, it was ridiculous. I heard a few moans, and I thought, guys, this is Uncharted. This is Uncharted. So I got up, and I walked to the other theater, and what you said reminded me of this. I went to go rewatch. I had already seen No Way Home, Spider-Man. I went to the theater. Yeah, I got up and joined them. I should have. I was definitely better looking than that guy. I would have been like, listen, lady, move a few rows up. I'll show you what's good, But I got up, went to the other theater, and I sat down because they were showing No Way Home, the Spider-Man movie that was new at the time, which I didn't like, by the way. And I think it's aged very poorly as time's gone on. But I said, whatever, I'll just watch this a second time because I can't handle being in that theater. And 3 minutes went by, and I thought, no, you know what? I would rather see Uncharted in all its terrible glory on this great day off than sit here and watch a movie I've already seen that I didn't even like that much. So I just brooded it out in the theater, and the movie became loud enough where I couldn't hear them. But if there were quieter moments, luckily there was a lot of action, but if there were quiet moments of introspection in Uncharted, that's when I would hear them making out again. So I kind of muffle my ears a little bit. But I'm just saying, unless you're having an affair, making out in the theaters as a 30-plus-year-old adult is not a good look. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but I like a bit of exhibitionism here and there. So I used to go to cinemas. I used to pick movies that have been out for a long time, and me and my girlfriend used to do that for that exact same reason. So I could get fucking head in the cinema.
Oh no, I don't. Hopefully they weren't going that far, but honestly, I could never tell you. And you know what? And that's why you're sick. And that's why they're sick. They probably enjoy what they're doing because I'm there. They probably do.
I know I would.
They probably enjoy that it's making them uncomfortable that I have to listen. But it's more gross. It's just gross, ugly people. Not saying you
no.
guys
It's kind of like yeah, bitch. What and like what are you gonna do about it? You know, just.
Yeah. Just some
you
casual.
The show, buddy. You know?
Yeah, you like that. You like that. It's like you're like flexing on them for being able to get sexual favors in public. It's like, other people can get sexual favors. They just don't do it in public. But you seem to want to take it in that direction. So the funny thing about this Madam Web movie is that it could have been geared towards men. And it's a superhero subject as well, so there's the benefit that men most likely want to see it before you even get to all the attractive women in there. But for some reason, they steered it in a direction where it looks like it's a CW show for women. And if you're going to do that, obviously Dakota Johnson is known as the actress in 50 Shades of Grey. And there was a little bit of contention when she was hired for that role. People didn't imagine her as the girl in that book that they saw that character as. So she's had a bit of a stifled career. I think people don't regard her as a great actress, but if you're using the actress from 50 Shades of Grey and all these attractive, Madam Web women, why don't you sexualize it a little bit, even for females? Take it in a romantic direction, or I don't even know what that is in 50 Shades of Grey, like a masochist, BDSM or whatever that's called, the bondage direction. I don't know. They could have done something with it to make it appeal to women then, if they're not trying to get the men. But now it's just not appealing to anyone, because I'll tell you, and we might have talked about this before, and I didn't realize it until I started talking to more women, I guess, and guys bringing it up about their girlfriends. Women love these raunchy books now, like women who are in their early 20s.
Dude, they love fucking 50 Shades of Grey and all that shit. Did you see this fucking article a few years ago when the first 50 Shades movie came out? And there were reports from these theaters of like women bringing in cucumbers into the cinema to watch that film.
I guess we've come full circle. Why couldn't I get that when I saw Uncharted? I should have brought the cucumber to Uncharted and started going to town. There we go. That would have been it. Yeah.
No,
well,
you had a real life cucumber. He was just flexing on you in the back.
There we go. Well, what's funny is that 50 Shades of Grey originated as Twilight fan fiction, and then they airlifted the vampires out of it, which made it become about a wealthy billionaire man and a young impressionable woman being taken advantage of, and it was a big fantasy fulfiller for women. But that was the beginning. Now I think that series helped bridge the divide from 60 plus, 50 plus year old women reading Fabio covered romance novels. She touched his member and slid it to the side through her. I don't even know what I want to say. It went from that to 50 Shades of Grey to now there's just full blown authors making their living off of writing these books for young women, young, late teens, early 20s, early 30s women, which I think is crazy. Because it used to be they wanted that sexualization from real life men, and older women only read it because their husbands weren't interested anymore, or they were too old to engage in a sexual relationship, or they've just been married for a long time. But now women are looking for it earlier in life, and it's got elves, it's got magic, and then they're just banging each other in there. I don't know what women have a very different idea of sexual fulfillment than men, and I think it's interesting. And women read more than men do, honestly. I think they do, at least from what I've seen. Most women you talk to read. Most men you don't. Most men do not. But have you seen this? The growth of this?
I've experienced it firsthand.
You're the subject of one of these novels?
No. It's a far more tepid confession.
Okay.
So my aunt loves to read these types of books, and I don't know why I'm confessing this, but when I was
I like where this is going.
When I was 13 or 14, she was gone for work, and I just picked up one of her books and I read it, and I jacked off to it.
What about it made you do that?
I don't know. I mean, the main couple in the book, they were like doing it, and I'm like, damn. You know, like, and the way that
you're so poetic sometimes, Tyson.
The way that they described the act, I'm like, oh, I kind of like that. You know, you got me going for a little bit. So, you know,
hey,
for those of you who say who I'm not a literary person, there you go.
Yeah, he's a masturbatory literary person. Some would say he's a multitasker. Is what I'm getting the impression of. I read a trilogy recently. I mean, the first book's called Nevernight. I don't know if the trilogy is called the Nevernight Chronicles by Jake Kristoff. Highly recommended. Really well written neo-gothic book, and it's about a female assassin. I won't say how old she is, but the first book, she's kind of at an assassin academy, and there are sex scenes in it. And I gotta tell you, I think these women are onto something, because when I was reading those scenes, I was all about it. And then later in the series, she's hooking up with a girl, and I'm gobbling it up. It's good stuff. So I see the vision. Yeah. I see the vision. But there's a great story in the book. It's not just that. The problem I have is that a lot of these books are more of sexualization and then 30% story progression from what I'm able to glean. So, but it's new, and I'm wondering what culturally is making women go in this direction with these books.
I think they're just indulging the fantasy of them being swept off their feet by some fucking rich guy who, out of all these average-looking women, they just choose them for some weird, wacky reason. You know what? All my aunt's novels start like that. It's like, oh, I'm just some fucking regular-looking dumb bitch, but this billionaire there's just something weird about me that just makes this guy fall in love with me. You know?
It's anime for women. You know what you're describing, Tyson? So take the sex out of it. You're talking about Disney movies. You're talking about being the princess in a Disney movie.
Yeah, but the princesses look good though. They look sexy.
Okay, let's take the surface portion of it away. Cinderella, for instance, not meant to be a princess or to be charmed by Prince Charming, right? I think Disney's kind of the original. So imagine if you took that, sexualized it. So maybe these Disney girls are growing up and they still like that same storyline, but now you got some action in there too. You know that to me at least, I think that women are concerned about everything that goes around sex, aside from the actual sex itself. It's setting the mood, their relationship towards you, how you feel about them, how they treat you. Or you got to hit all these peak points that obviously a book can touch on however it wants. And when you're pressing all those buttons correctly for a woman, I think, yeah, they'd love to read that. They get turned on. It's a lot different for them as compared to us. It's like, I see Sydney Sweeney's breasts and I want to have sex with her. So, and the Madam Web can't even do that right. So what do you want me to do about that? But it's just an interesting phenomenon, because I thought it was kind of niche, but I think more women read them than don't now. So it's strange. It's strange, but understandable and not surprising. So,
if guys get to swag out with video games and football parties, then women get to have their novels too. It's fine with me,
Yeah, I mean, how's that a terrible habit? What we engage in is entirely sexual. I'm not gonna lie. I like playing League of Legends and seeing the hot girls when we play it. That's a nice little added bonus. They like reading their little books and having their atmosphere settled for perfect sexual encounters in their spare time. It's good for them.
Yeah,
so,
and
is it healthy?
In both scenarios, we're self-inserting as the hot girl, right?
I'll leave that up to you when the next time your aunt lends you a book. How's that? So, you want to talk about questionable anime?
Speaking of sort of like adjacent topic, right? Something I really want to bring up that has been on my mind a lot recently, and I don't know why I'm divulging this information, but I think
You're already talking about masturbating, but you might as well go all the way. So.
But you know, I've been thinking a lot about how I'm a very impressionable person, you know, especially when it comes to media. So I've just realized, you know, I will watch something and I will like wholly embody the emotion of that thing for for a fucking while after I finish watching it, you know. And I think one of the biggest examples of this was the Netflix show 13 Reasons Why. So before I watched it, I was perfectly fine, but then after I watched it, so for those of you who don't know, 13 Reasons Why is like this girl who like left a suicide note, and there's like 13 reasons why she committed suicide. And then after I watched it, I'm like, maybe I do want to kill myself. So I was
because Bryce gave her the business, bro. Like, come on, man.
Bryce just swagged out in the swimming pool, some would say.
Why'd she put her? All right. I'll let that go. Okay, sorry. Keep going. I only watched the first season, and I'm like, really? That's what it took? Whatever. Okay.
But it was fucking weird. You know, like I watched it, and after I finished it, I'm like, maybe I do want to do something like that. Then I was like researching methods, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like,
what, you researched how to kill yourself?
Yeah, you know, like I was like, how if I was to do it, what method would I use, and all that kind of stuff.
That's so morbid. So I actually would want to say, you know, you're a guy, toughen up. It's just media, but honestly, I think the fact that some of these things affect you show that you're in touch with your life and how you perceive things, and being impressionable is part of being human, right? So I can't fault you for feeling something after watching it. The fact that it has that much of an effect is a bit of a problem.
Dude,
so.
You want to talk about fucking that's not even the worst part, dude. So fuck, man, I don't know why I'm fucking divulging this, but okay,
it's a therapy episode.
So for those of you who don't know this anime, there's this anime called Onimai, and after I watched Onimai for like fucking 3 days, dude, I was like, maybe, you know what, I would like to be a girl. You know, so dude,
it's up to you whether your mind sobers up after this and you want to leave it in. But hey, you know, as long as you're allowing your mind to wander after watching something like that, that's not the worst, as long as you keep a leash on it. See, I kind of agree with you. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm impressionable, but I'm an incredibly emotional person. I have, you know, quite a temperament that wavers back and forth. Not angry, just easily affected, right, by situations around me. And when I don't watch certain things because I know I can't handle them. So when I was, I don't know, I think it was about 10 years ago now, whatever that show you're talking about, 12 Reasons Why, is it, or 13 Reasons Why came out, I got a little depressed after I watched it. If there was a show like that out now, yeah, it should make you depressed. I mean, there was a PSA that came out after that show released that said it was inspiring suicides in teenagers who are very susceptible. So you're not alone in that. But I couldn't watch something like that today because I know it wouldn't make me feel great afterwards. So why would I subject myself to that? As my mom famously said, I don't want it on in my house. That's what she said all the time. If something gross were on the TV, she'd say, I just don't want it on in my house. I just don't want it on in my house. And you know what? When I was younger, I'd be like, Mom, get over it. But as I got older, I think she was, you know, as an adult, she realized that what you put around you affects you and your psyche. And sometimes it's negative. So why fill yourself with something like that? You know what I mean? Why fill your mind with that? So, you know, there's a few things to think about there. But yes, I do think you are too impressionable. I think you're too much of a literalist with what we watch, you know, or what you watch. Like when we were arguing about that Law and Order episode where the woman got raped and didn't want to rat out her accuser because it would ruin his life. That's a representation of real life situations that happen. I'm not saying that's right, but that's just a show doing that scenario for you to see, and instead your reaction was, they shouldn't be allowed to put that on TV. So maybe you're like protecting yourself because you know how impressionable it is. Maybe you'll think that you don't need to rat out your accuser when you're raped someday. I don't know. I don't know how it plays out, but yeah, maybe you're too much of a literalist with what's in front of you. But you know, it's creative. It's art,
I just need to build mental fortitude. I like watching stuff, so it's, you know, it's gonna be a big issue if I just fucking, if I'm like amorphously taking on whatever the fuck I watch, you know.
Maybe if you recognize that and watch things that you think will have a positive effect on you, then that's a way to steer it in the right direction. I mean,
okay.
I don't watch many things that'll make me feel bad, but you know, just because something's morbid doesn't mean it will. I think there's, you know, I love watching murder investigation. I just read a John Benet Ramsey book last week. I love dark subjects. It's great, but there's a difference between that and really pushing your mind in a negative direction when it's just being bombarded with things. I mean, suicide's not a great one. I'm not a big fan about reading about that or watching about it. So I don't know, but you watch a lot of stuff, so it could be something like that. We'll see how impressionable you are after seeing Madam Web. Maybe that'll make you want to be a woman. There you go.
What would the end result of that be? Like, I'd want to like learn how to be a psychic and tell the future or something.
You're gonna want to be a psychic woman, yeah. And I don't know. But yeah, there could be any reason why. So, well, there could be 13 reasons why. There you go. Why you want to be a woman.
And listen, that was only for a 3-day period. That was such a weird fucking time, by the way. Like, maybe I didn't explain it soon enough, but the anime Onimai is about a guy who unwillingly becomes a girl, right? So after I finished it, it's
unwillingly, so it's all right, guys?
I was just working, and then like I was just like standing. I'm like, damn, you know, like maybe.
I'll tell you what. I have an example of that. That's not as embarrassing as what you're talking about, and I think this is a good chance for me to stop you.
Yeah.
I think it was about God, it's going on maybe 10 or 11 years ago. I was watching Sons of Anarchy. Sons of Anarchy had just come out, and it didn't had just come out, but there was a few seasons in, and I finally picked it up. After sitting down and watching, you know, around close to a season of that show in a day, I would start to become depressed because the paranoia, the gruffness of the situations, the violence, the death, it would kind of, you know, it's almost biblical. What you fill with your mind is kind of what you get there, and you have to be careful with what you do to yourself. It's your temple. You know what I mean? Your mind is your temple in a way. So when I walked down the street after watching an episode, I felt like I was in the show. I walked down the street as if I were in the show. I had pulled my jeans up a little bit, got you know, a little smirk, a little rough, you know, like a little cold and hard on the outside, and like walked over to the corner store and got a cheese steak. So just a true badass, and then got in my TT convertible like a you know, an act as one motorcycle vagrant would. So yeah, I mean, those things affect you. I mean, towards the end, I would watch some Walking Dead episodes. I'm like, this is just depressing. Nothing good is happening. As you get older, you're not going to be able to handle that stuff as much. I've noticed. When I was younger, I'd watch anything. I'd watch August Underground Mortem, all this incredibly gory, violent stuff, and it wouldn't affect me. As you get older, you get discernment. You get discernment.
When I was 13, I would watch so much like weird shit on the internet, and I would always come across people that say, dude, I would always hear people say like, dude, I watched something so disgusting, I'm not gonna be able to eat lunch afterwards, or all that stuff. And that never made sense to me until now, because when I was a kid, I could watch fucking like literally gore and still eat lunch, right? Because it just didn't affect me. But now my stomach turns at some shit, so I finally understand what they mean by that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, that makes complete sense. I remember I had a friend that was eating cereal while watching Cannibal Holocaust when we were younger, so, which was a violent movie. So yeah, as you get older, you get a little more discerning. And I just thought about it. I reminded myself as you were saying that I had a friend who watched. This was when it was actually a more accessible video than a lot of other Gore ones at the time. It was a video released from, I think it was a prisoner of the Taliban. I don't know if it was an American or not. I can't remember. But you were able to get a video of his execution with beheading by knife. And my friend said that the noise that this person makes as this knife is slicing their throat haunts him to this day when he watched the video when he was younger. I never got that far in my Gore journey. I didn't like seeing the real life stuff, and I still don't to this day. So it's unsettling. But for some reason, when we were younger, we were able to kind of take.
Dude, the most fucked up Gore thing I ever saw was probably, and I think it was a real video. Like, it wasn't a hoax or anything, but it was these pair of like Russian guys who kidnapped an old guy, and they were just hammering this guy to death. And I was like, no, there's no fucking way. But it was like shaky cam footage. It looked, and I saw some news articles, and apparently it was fucking real, dude. They just kidnapped this guy and just fucking hammered him. And the way that the hammer connected with the body, god damn, dude. Like,
yeah, that's tough.
Try watching that and then being against the death penalty. You know, like someone like that, they don't deserve to be under the label of human anymore. You know, like at that point you're pretty much an animal and you just need to be contained,
put down. Put down. Yeah, it's almost like they're possessed, you know. It's like demonic possession at that point. So we'll move away from the Gore. All I'm saying is that, Tyson, just the advice I could give is just watch something. If you're impressionable, watch something that'll give you a good impression. Right.
Okay.
So fill yourself with that, and if anyone has some advice for Tyson too, that would be great. The problem is that I miss watching horror movies. I used to only watch horror movies. I can't handle them as well now. I'm a lot more sensitive to them, and I miss them. I think they're awesome, but for some reason I watch them and I'm like, oh, that's gross, or that person died. I feel kind of bad, and maybe that's part of getting older. You get a little bit more empathetic, and then it comes out the other side when you're 50 or 60 and just start being a miserable boomer, right? I don't know. Maybe that has something to do.
For
with
me,
it.
it's fucking romance movies and like those deep, like journey movies, right? I used to watch those back to back when I was in high school. Like, I would watch The Fountain, The Tree of Life, all these like romance movies, but it takes a lot for me to watch a fucking romance movie today because I know how it's gonna make me feel. You know, it's gonna make me feel too much, so I can't.
You're just swelling with emotion, Tyson. Wow. There must be one lucky lady out there going to town on you in a movie theater in the future.
I would hope so.
All right, well, you know, speaking of movie theaters, speaking of American pastimes that are our great cultural exports, I'm seeing a subject from you here. Well, speaking of great cultural exports, smut is America's chief one as well. So we bring that to the world. I'm seeing a subject for you, though. Fast food collapse. Anytime I see fast food, my ears perk up because I'm a McDonald's fanatic. I am an Americana fast food enthusiast. So what's the subject? What is the fast food collapse?
So I think it's done. Pack it up, guys. I think it's fucking done. Right?
No,
so
I don't think so. Why is that?
But here's what I mean, right? So I think fast food as an industry is going to go through a severe fucking decline really soon. And that's because of, well, I mean, this is anecdotal, but like, dude, Pizza Hut's laying off delivery drivers. A single meal at Five Guys costs like $40. You know, McDonald's are closing left and right in low-income neighborhoods. Fast food is neither fast nor fucking cheap anymore, right? So my thinking is like, if all these fast food places, except like in the densest areas of the city, are gonna close down, I think that's going to have a flow-on effect on communities. You know, I feel like fast food places are the pillars of community centers and fucking like all these like strip malls and stuff. So if you take away
McDonald's City Hall,
if you take away like a fucking
Ronald Judge,
if you take away the KFC or take away the McDonald's and all, why would anyone go to a strip mall to buy like clothes or whatever at some fucking mom and pop stop? I think if they go, a lot of other retail stores would go, you know, which means that everything except everyone would have to go to the city centers then to buy something, which makes it even more expensive.
I think you're going in a good direction. You're arriving at the wrong conclusion for solving the problem, but the one part that sticks out to me is I don't understand how Five Guys gets away with their prices. They are up. When I go to Five Guys, it's $30 for what? For one guy, and the peanuts are even free. And for some reason, it's always $30+ to go there. Double cheeseburger with bacon, A1 and jalapeno with fries and a Coke. That's what I get when I go there, and I am always blown away. When I was the richest I'd ever been and the brokest I'd ever been, my jaw still drops every time I go into Five Guys. I don't know how they get away with that. But when it comes to fast food, when it comes to, I want to say gourmet fast food burgers, because Five Guys and McDonald's are very different places. Five Guys is the best. I think Five Guys is, their burgers are great. The way that they source them is incredible. They do a good job with their burgers. What you'll have to understand is, I think health crazes and concern with health is cyclical. At least in America, you'll go through years where people are overly concerned about their health. And McDonald's tried to counteract that or mesh with it by having things like salad wraps and snack wraps on their menu. And you very quickly find out that people aren't going to McDonald's to get things like that. People are going to McDonald's to enliven themselves. They're going to feel something or nothing at all in some cases. So McDonald's is kind of, and fast food in general needs to lean in to its identity. And part of its identity is being affordable. And what you're discussing is something that they are discussing now. It's just, hey, how do we get back to, for instance, at Costco, you can get a hot dog for the same price, and it's been the same price for the last 10 or 15 years. How do we get back to affordability in fast food? Because we're losing one of our advantages that we have. I love going to McDonald's to feel it. It's funny, when you're young, you get it as a happy meal. You get a happy meal as a reward for your mom treating you to McDonald's. And now when you're older, it's just, I've been eating too well lately. It's been a rough work day. I'm getting some McDonald's. I don't care. It's my big fuck off meal. It's a moment of peace that you really can't get anywhere else. And I'll always value McDonald's for that. But the point about city centers, that can be said for Walmart. When a Walmart goes into a town, that is the new city hall. When it's a, let's just say low population, you could say Midwest, South. Once that Walmart goes in there, that becomes the place that you're describing. There's literally country songs with the lyrics, "We had some great times in that Walmart parking lot." It's cultural now at this point, which is so pathetic when you think about it. But the reason why these McDonald's are closing down in cities, and being someone that lives in a major city, is the service is horrific. It's very hard to find staff that's dedicated to working there, because in suburbs, you have young families with kids who are in high school that can work there. You can't get that kind of labor in cities.
I don't think it's a service, though. I think it's just because it's just too expensive. Like, dude, a double quarter pounder meal, it's like $13 American now. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, I remember a time where both Burger King, McDonald's, KFC, they all had something like a dollar menu. What happened to that? Like, that's all gone now,
People in the suburbs are able to absorb those price increases and work with them. The problem is that it sounds like Trump talking about Haiti, shithole countries. These cities are shitholes. They are shitholes, and operating a McDonald's in them or operating a fast food place, let alone clothing retail or any other types of retail, has become so expensive and non-profitable before you even get to hiring security and doing damage control that they just say, forget it. We don't need the money in these cities anymore. We don't. It's the great urban flight of our time that was propelled by COVID. And maybe COVID just exposed weaknesses in urban areas, but I think fast food will stay strong for, I want to say forever, really. They are an immovable piece of American economy, but they have to do some soul searching right now. I think you're totally right about that part. And yeah, the prices do need to get some work done on them, but I think we're experiencing a labor and crime crisis over a price crisis. But when you couple rising prices with all of that, yeah, it's a whirlwind, and that's what we're experiencing. It's a shame. I hate to see it. There's nothing better than rolling up and getting a double quarter pounder. Well, you saw I posted it. I posted a video of myself eating a double Big Mac in one of the channels that we're in, doing a nice little discussion on that. So, I love McDonald's. It is a shame, but it's funny. The problem with fast food that people have now isn't health related, really. And also, something else I want to add in is these fast food places will be looked to more in the future as we have a tightening economy. Yes, it's more expensive, but it's comparable to going out to eat. Soon it's going to be, you're with a family, you go to Chili's or a place like that lately, it's not cheap. You're blowing at least 40, 50 going to Chili's with yourself and a friend.
That's the point I was going to bring up. Like,
that's the real problem right now.
If I'm going out to eat, right, and I have the choice of paying like $15 for a fucking combo meal for a double quarter pounder at McDonald's versus paying $15 at, like a mom and pop Italian restaurant, like a local one. Why would I go to McDonald's when I could go to a restaurant and get that? Like the selling point for fast food used to be purely, time wise and affordability wise. Mm-hmm. But if the prices are at parity with all these local restaurants, I don't see a point for me to go to McDonald's anymore. I can just go and get like a really nice dish at a local restaurant. I might as well, right?
If they were to be at actual parity with local restaurants, I could see the argument, but I still think it's far more expensive to go out and eat at a sit-down restaurant where you have to, well, you don't have to do it, where people have to sometimes tip someone as compared to going through a McDonald's drive-in window.
Oh, yeah, you guys have the tipping culture.
Just to help you out a little bit here, it's getting close. They're definitely getting close to each other in price. So I think you are making a point. But as far as, to me, I love McDonald's. So when you say, would you rather go to an Italian restaurant and spend $16 or get a double quarter pounder meal? I will pick the double quarter pounder meal.
I know you would.
But I think I'm just a psycho. I'm just unwell. I totally get what you're saying for the normal.
I used to live in this suburb, right? And there was this McDonald's. And then like 200 meters from it, there was this Chinese restaurant, and it served like really nice home style dishes. I went to McDonald's once and I paid $17 for a fucking a combo plus some nuggets, dude. And then I went to this Chinese place. It's literally exactly the same fucking price. So it's like I just stopped going to the McDonald's,
I know, it's funny the way you sneak it in your store. It's like, yeah, I got a combo and some nuggets. It's like, and another combo, and it was really expensive. Yeah, you're just a fat ass. Yeah, okay. Exactly. No, I'm just kidding. But hey, just to bring it home, back in my day, sound like an old man. When I was a lifeguard on my break, I drive to the local McDonald's. I get a McGangbang for $3. And that would fill me up for the day. That was that. There's no dollar menu anymore. One of my favorite tweets I've ever seen was, you think Americans are going to go overseas and die for a value menu or something like that? It's so true. Because we're a value menu country now. We're not a dollar menu country anymore. You know what I mean? So
I was so excited for Taco Bell. So for those of you who don't know, we in New Zealand just got Taco Bell like 2 years ago, and I used to read all this stuff about Taco Bell, like, dude, if you go there with $10, you can feed like a family of 5 people, and I'm like, damn, okay, I'm so down for like.
You're like, I can eat like a family of 5.
I was planning on like just bringing $20 there and seeing how much food they could give me, dude. It's fucking dog shit. It's like worse than fucking KFC, dude. They don't even give them much food, so it's.
Well, you
annoying.
did that to yourself. You might have heard me say it before. Taco Bell is unapologetic garbage. I think it's disgusting. You want to talk about parody? You could just go to an
garbage, not like.
I would rather. Yeah, the thing is, you could go to a taco stand that's not Taco Bell and pay the same or slightly more and be able to live to tell the tale, as opposed to go to Taco Bell. I hate Taco Bell. I think it's just absolutely disgusting. So, yeah, I mean, it's a shame. I think, and this goes in hand with restaurants, and I don't know if you're having this problem in New Zealand or not, because of rising costs in economy, housing, food, travel, because all of that has become so expensive, buying a car in general, the money that you make as a waiter or waitress, or worse, working at a McDonald's, is not enough to cover those expenses. So they think, why should I work to the bone in these jobs that aren't providing for me when I could just not do that? So we have a bunch of people who are just out of the jobs market entirely. And that's another byproduct of COVID. That results in the people who are working being overworked or unenthused by what they're doing. So you have terrible service coupling with it, which inconveniences people further. It's a cruel cycle. It is a labor crisis that we have going on here, because people who work normal service jobs can't afford normal things anymore. They can't. What are they working for then? That
sort of brings me to my like ultimate point about this whole McDonald's thing. It's symptomatic of the state of the economy right now. Biden keeps fucking touting these numbers like, oh, there's all these new jobs added. I'm starting to think I don't fucking believe him anymore. I don't believe these fucking numbers. Like, I'm using my eyes right, okay? Since COVID, costs have like nearly doubled, and wages haven't moved. So I don't think anyone's able to make the claim like the economy has recovered in any fucking way. Maybe that has happened for like larger corporations, but I think fucking the average person is in the fucking dumpster right now.
I think CPI numbers came out today, and it's raising at rates quicker than more than what was anticipated, and the consumer price index is basically showing the cost for a basket of normal goods. You have bread in there or peanut butter or something like that, so it's kind of able to show where we were and where we're going as far as affordability. And as that increases, you see in places that you go in your normal everyday life that it's less affordable anywhere. People are starting to go to more value-driven stores for their shopping. Maybe won't go to Whole Foods anymore. They'll go to Aldi or Lidl or somewhere like that. And we're gonna start seeing that kind of demotion of purchasing power in our economy, and it's only getting worse. And you can't lie to anyone about it, right? So when it comes to housing and car prices, it's kind of leveled out. I wouldn't say they've gone down as compared to COVID, but because of the interest rates, there isn't much of a frenzy behind home buying and cars as there used to be. But when it comes to normal everyday consumer goods, it's kind of mind-blowing what you get. You go to the supermarket is just a completely different experience now. You do have to make some sacrifices when you're there if you're a normal person.
It's bizarre how everyone just, if you remember, I could buy a carton of eggs for like fucking $3, and now it's like 10. It's like fucking $10, $11, $12, and people just accepted that, and now it's like it's baseline. Oh yeah, carton of eggs, $12. Do you not remember when it was before? Like, what the fuck? they just said, oh yeah, that's just how it is now. That's we're just gonna accept
How do you
that.
combat that, though? You know, how do you as a consumer combat that? I have no idea. You need to eat, right?
Yeah.
So I don't understand what, but I would like to say, as much as statistics would want to point in the other direction that things are getting better, the purchasing power of an American has diminished over the past year. It goes without saying. How could it not? People are making more in wages. They're making less, and we can't buy as much in stores. So how could our purchasing power be getting better? I mean, it's a shame. And you're seeing a hemorrhaging in the tech sector. That's where it starts. And I'm supposed to feel bad for those people. I don't at all. But that's like a canary in the coal mine. It's kind of saying, hey, here's what's coming. You know, here's what's coming. And I don't want to use the word bubble, but we're having a labor issue in I mean, at least in my country, but I think globally we're finding ourselves having labor issues because it's an affordability crisis. Why work when you can't afford anything? It's demoralizing, you know? So, yeah, I think bringing up McDonald's and their price is a starting point to going and discussing much bigger problems that we're having. And you want to talk about what's going to affect Biden going into his presidential run. I think this will be the number one subject. It'll be about economy. Again, that stupid Carville quote that they always say on news shows. It's the economy, stupid. That's what it might be about again. It might be about the economy and the purchasing power of the average American, because I don't care what anyone says. And you know what pisses me off? All these stupid boomer takes. Like, when I was younger, I had to have a roommate. It's like, shut up. Like, no, you didn't. Like, just shut up. You know, like they did not have to make the same sacrifices people getting out of college now do. When you were younger and you went to college and it were mostly paid for, or you were quick to paying it off. Meanwhile, keep in mind, objectively, colleges were less expensive then than they are now. That's just objective.
Dude, their college back then, it was $6,000 in today's money. That's how fucking easy they had it, dude.
Hilarious. Because then you were going to get an office job out of school, which meant that you could buy a house. You could work towards buying a house, and you could be a company man who stays there for 20 years. It's not like that anymore. It's not like that anymore. You have to work hard just to earn your keep at companies half the time now. Yeah. So it's different. It's different. And people say, you know, you should give loyalty to your employer, and you know, you can't help but think, yes, it makes sense to when you were there for 20, 30 years and can get a pension. But now the flexibility in our economy isn't working in the average employee's favor, right? So this is the stuff that makes me entertain communism, right?
Honestly,
obviously that doesn't work.
The exact same thing.
You know,
if you take like some person that doesn't really consider like political theory and all that stuff, it's a very fucking easy to see path how someone could become, you know, one of these blue-haired communists. Like, I would probably consider it as well if my job was, you know, in peril and I couldn't afford shit and eggs were fucking $12. It's like,
yep.
You know, yep. Revolution.
You know, the problem I have with communism is that they place too much value on the unskilled worker, or you could say they're skilled. I know they would certainly say that. They say, you work all day. He sits there and makes money. Like, no. That person who sits there and makes money, they took incredible risk to put together this company that's strong enough for you to have a job at. So I'm not licking anyone's boots here. I just think there's a discussion that should be had. But what I will say is that unionization, and unfortunately it's been ruined in my country by contractors who've taken it to the fullest level you can and act in bad faith and are extremely corrupt, especially in major cities. Unionization on its face should be something that's considered for almost every company. It's very important to be able to unionize and communicate as people within an organization. And for some reason, and it must be through lobbying, conservatives have an obsession with, you know, putting their foot down against unionization. I think it's a certain kind you shouldn't like. You should actually encourage it.
You know why that is, though, right? It's because they envision themselves as these future business CEOs, and they're like, you know, if I was a CEO, I wouldn't want my workers to unionize. It's like, no, you're a fucking loser. You're not going to be a CEO, and you're getting like financially raped right now. So why don't you put down why don't you put down the fucking the boot on your fucking own neck and smell the roses, you know?
You know, you reminded me of a quote. I don't know who said it. It's easily Googleable. Maybe I will by the end of this episode. But and I'm not saying I condone this, but it kind of goes hand in hand with what we're talking about. It said that conservatives who believe in outright capitalism view themselves as temporarily embarrassed millionaires. You know, they think they'll be a millionaire someday, but they're not right now. But they will be someday. And that's why, like you said, they imagine they'll be that CEO someday.
Dude,
so that's why they put each other
dumb
roadblocks.
fucking people. The most egregious thing I ever listened to was when they were like talking about getting rid of inheritance tax, and I think like the limit was 25 million, right? And then if they wanted to give more than 25 million, these billionaires would have to pay tax. And then all these fucking like poor conservatives, they were like, you know, if I was a billionaire, I would want to give all my money to my children. It's like, well, you're not going to be a billionaire. You're never going to be that. You're too dumb to be that. So why don't you take the side that fights for you, huh? Why don't you wake up, you know?
I agree. If you're in excess of $25 million and you're leaving an estate, something tells me that your heirs will be able to handle that tax a little bit. So
you know, your example of the unskilled worker being overvalued, I fully agree with that. But I do like communism's criticism of the guy on top, though. And that's not to say I don't like the structure of where capitalism is, you know, like where someone takes risk and then they have all these unskilled people working for them. I feel like the problem lies in the person at the top, though. I feel like if that person was forced to cooperate with the state and was forced to operate in a way that is objectively beneficial for society, that would be the kind of, you know, maybe communism that I could get under. I feel like the person on top really has too much freedom. You know, like Jeff Bezos shouldn't be allowed to
What's
buy.
he say? Shouldn't be allowed to. Sorry.
Yeah, I think they should physically be restrained from doing certain things. So the example I always like to go to is, you know, if you start a company in China and the company becomes successful and it gets over a certain market cap, the CCP is gonna tell that company, okay, because now you're big enough, you have a
social obligation.
You have an influence on society that you cannot ignore, and because of that, we're going to open up a department in your company where our officials are going to go and make sure that everything you do, it's in the benefit of China, you know. And I think that merge of sort of like capitalism, where you can start your own companies and have small businesses and all that stuff, but then the big sharks and the guy at the top is forced to you know, think in terms of like what is societally the most beneficial. I think that's a good system. I like that.
Yeah, two things there. Also, first off, it would be a good qualifier for a company to be a quote-unquote big shark to see how much revenue they generate per employee. That's how you can tell what a large company is and a small company is. So there could be a lot of standards for seeing that. The first is, I think people are, it sounds so stupid after what we've talked about. People are too hard on CEOs in some ways. Their job is incredibly difficult. It is incredibly difficult to run an entire company, make difficult decisions, and be beholden to shareholders. In a lot of instances, there are CEOs that are properly not in excess, but compensated equal to the value that they bring to a company. That I understand. But, and to reference your favorite movie, The Other Guys, which decided to have like like a ham-fisted message on CEO wealth inequality in the credits. For some reason, it wasn't brought up much in the movie. I think that's completely correct. You used to be able to live in the same neighborhood as someone that was there. We used to actually be and for some reason conservatives rail against this, as far as they say there is no wealth gap, there is no blah blah blah. But for some reason that becomes a raising the minimum wage discussion, which I actually don't believe in raising the minimum wage, just because I don't think it would fix the actual root of the issues. But CEOs are paid too much compared to their employees now. They just are. And that's just been some weird outsized scale that has grown not in increments, exponentially. It's actually unreal. But I also the second part is that I think is funny is that I don't even know what to call them anymore, and when I do, I'll let you know. But we'll just talk about the Elon Musk woke right, because they are woke at this point. They love to say that, it's all just controlled by a bunch of central actors who, influence society, and, it's just at the top. They're at the top of the pyramid. But then when it comes to actual people at the top of visible pyramids, they get a pass. We ignore them entirely, It's about some unseen shadow force that you could never acknowledge. But that CEO that's getting paid too much that you can actually do something about, don't do something about that. That's fine. That's fine. So I would like some consistency and clarity on who the actual, the fat cats are, that you'll see in an exaggerated cartoon. So,
and another thing, it's
consistent.
Like if you go back 50 years and you take the average worker of a company and then the CEO of that company, maybe the worker lives in like a average middle income neighborhood, and then the CEO lives in a high class neighborhood, but they both ultimately still exist as part of the same society, right? Whereas if you take this average worker now versus the average CEO now, dude, the average CEO is like, he's like in a different fucking dimension. He's in a gated community, if even in the same city, right? Or he's on a private island, or he's fucking anywhere. He's not in the same reality as the fucking average worker. And that means that why would they care about what the average person is going through? They're not in it, They're not they're not affected by it.
My favorite if not, I haven't given a lot of thought to the subject lately. My favorite books, fiction wise, is Babbitt. And it's about a man trying to find his place. I believe it was, 50s family life with a son that wants to become a mechanic and not work in an office like him as a broker. And there's a scene in it where, and it's really a lot of commentary on social cues from that time period. Super interesting. It's kind of about what it means to find yourself as a man within family structure, and how to lead them and kind of take your foot off the gas when they want to do something else, maybe your kids, or like how to appreciate the fact that your wife is bland as compared to traipsing around with some, like, at that time, I don't even know what it would be, like some kind of like more art-minded single woman, quote unquote. But there's a scene in that book where his boss, or the owner of his company, comes over for dinner, and they're in very similar social castes. Imagine someone who's high up at your company coming over for a hosted dinner party by your wife. These are things that are completely gone now. We don't have that. We don't have that anymore. And I think that's sad, especially since those are supposed to be conservative ideals. That's supposed to be traditional, but we're not interested in that anymore. We just aren't. It just has to be about uninhibited growth for corporations. I don't know why, but that's where we are. So, and anyone who questions that is on the left. But hey, that's how I hate to sound like the kind of person I hate, but maybe that's how they keep us controlled, by building resentment between us and them. But it's a lot. It's difficult, and to think it all started with my double quarter pounder being more expensive than it should. So, but it's funny, and we talked about this off air before. I love the fact that China just took the CEO of Alibaba and beat the shit out of him for like 2 weeks and went missing.
Dude. I love
That
that.
would be amazing. Do you know how much animus would be helped in the public eye if someone just kidnapped, if the government just kidnapped Jeff Bezos and you had some CIA spooks just beat the shit out of him for 2 weeks?
That would be so sick.
Just show him who's boss a little bit, you know. But to put it this way, what good is Amazon doing ultimately for the well-being of our entire country and purchasing power of individuals? Their products are outsourced from other countries. They're built in other countries. They're imported here. People buy them at low cost because they're shit as compared to local small businesses, but they also drive local small businesses out of business. So why not make the argument that Amazon should be forced to do what's best for the country that it operates in, or leave? I think you're onto something. I think it's a good point.
Dude, the best thing about that Jack Ma thing is that before he was kidnapped, he was like talking mad shit about the CCP. He was like, "Yeah, these guys are backwards. You know, it's time for a new generation, and I'm gonna show them a way." And then he got so fucking swagged on afterwards. You know, it's like that scene from Dark Knight Rises where Bane's like, "And you think this gives you power over me?"
Oh my goodness, this is too. I mean, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. Is China a communist country even? Isn't it just Is it socialist?
I would classify it as it is a pretty capitalist, laissez-faire system up until where it starts counting, you know. So you can engage in capitalist activities, you can start a business and all that, but when your business starts affecting the lives of you know, your society, for example, like if you become a billionaire and all that, that's when it becomes communist, I think. You know,
interesting. Not a terrible compromise. So
I mean, it still gives room for like mom and pop shops and for like literally 99% of people in a society, right? Because only 1% are gonna do like start a company and like push it to become one of those billion-dollar companies, right? So,
well, it just is nice to have a national identity, because I feel like my country is just an immigrant-filled economic zone, you know, just for development, really, and exploitation. There's no binding factor, and there's no want from our government. And I understand they weren't built by nature to make the country better. They were built to keep their hands off of development. But our system on the purchasing level used to be geared towards making us better as a country. It's not like that. That's not what corporations are interested in. They're only interested in enriching themselves and shareholders. So yeah, I would like for them to be forced for the betterment of our country to do.
Dude, you want to talk about Jeff Bezos? How are people going to look at him buying the Washington Post, and then like they just have no issue with that? Like that's so bizarre to me. Like,
you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Exactly. Like, so what? He can just buy a fucking newspaper and just tell it like, oh, don't print these stories, which he has done before. Like he told them to like not print any negative stories about Amazon. So it's like, what? He's just allowed to do that, and like, what the fuck is that? You know?
Well, and it's also like that scene in the first Batman movie where he's doing some soul searching, and he's drunk in a I guess hotel pool swimming with two women, and the guy comes up to him and says, "Sir, you can't do that." And then he hands him a check and says, "I just bought the hotel." It's just such a stupid scene in that series, but people like that, and they think, "Yo, what a baller, that's so cool." That's how people look at Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. That's how idiots look at them and be like, "Oh, what a baller, he just goes buys Twitter, he just says why not?" Because those are the things we value in our country. People buying expensive things. At the end of the day, that's what we value, because we don't have anything binding anymore. And it used to be Puritan work ethic and steadfast faith in each other and community, but we don't have that anymore, because half the people that are in your area aren't even from this country. But that's a completely different subject for a different time. So wow. I that's a good subject. Anytime you bring up McDonald's, I want to hear about it. So that's not bad at all. You mentioned his name, and I have to talk about it. And anyone's welcome to tune out here if they don't want to, if they aren't quite ready for Decision 2024 discussion. But
this is the intellectuals corner. So if you guys are,
yeah, we're trying a different thing.
Yeah, just skip back to the Owning My section if you guys want to.
Exactly. Go re-listen to that. I want to do it that way, though. It used to be business in the front, party in the rear, but let's just start partying. And then you got to get up for your quiz the next morning, and that's the serious part. That's what we're doing right now. We talk about the smut books and wanting to be a woman and owning my first. Then if you're still sticking around, you'll get some serious stuff. But I won't delve too much into it because something tells me we'll be doing full episodes on this as the election season warms up. But I do think this special counsel investigation into Biden hoarding secret documents was interesting because they declared that he was senile, and Biden went out and proved them wrong by doing just the sloppiest, unwell press conference I've seen from a president in a while. Although he did say something funny to Steve Doocy. It's just become a really irritant Fox News reporter during Biden's tenure, where it just asks, the typical questions that you'd expect. But Biden's like, Doocy's like, Are you able to say that you have good memory? It seems like from this report, it's poor memory. And Biden says, and I'm not sure it even makes sense. He just goes, I have such poor memory that I let you speak. No one said anything. It was one of Biden's funniest moments. And I was like, damn, he gets lucid enough just to drop bombs on people. He's also just seems like he's like a nasty, spiteful old man too. Or he doesn't even know what he's doing. But Biden's senility is one of the most concerning topics for voters going into the election season. I think it's going to be about him and his fitness for office and the economy. I think those are going to be huge talking points that Trump is going to try and stick to. So I guess my question is really, with this report and how he was barely able to run his last election, he did most of it from his own home. Do you think that the DNC is going to make a switcheroo and try and get someone else in there, or is it too late in the game? Do you think they're going to run him?
No, it's too late. What I think they're going to do is probably have an unspoken agreement with Biden where, we'll support you for your second term, but a year, maybe 2 years into your second term, you step down and let Kamala do her thing, And I can see that happening.
And people always say, oh, I'm scared. The problem is if Biden goes away, then you get Kamala and she's insane. A Kamala presidency will be indecipherable from a Biden presidency. They will be the same exact thing. There will be no difference besides her just giving the cattiest, funniest press conferences you've ever seen in your life. So the problem is that she is unelectable. If you were to run Kamala, she would not win. She would not. It would be a black or half black, whatever she is, Hillary Clinton, and no one wants to get on board with that. She's kind of hot, honestly.
Honestly, I was gonna say that I kind of would. I saw this video of her where she was like wearing her outfit for the Super Bowl, and I'm like, you know what?
Yeah, how old is she? She's not even 60 yet. You got one last year to kind of pump it in there. Once she's 60, yeah, it'd be a little bit weird. But
dude,
again,
I was gonna say for the Biden senility thing, dude, it's really fucking bad. I saw this video where he's like eating lunch with a bunch of kids, and he's just like moving so fucking slow. He's dude, I can't believe he's the leader of America, dude. He is so obviously viscerally senile. It's unreal.
He's offensively senile.
Yeah, dude.
And for people on the right will admit that immediately. Not admit it. They will say that immediately. People on the left, they begrudgingly admit it as well. There's no person that should honestly tell you that Trump is with it, or that Biden is coherent, conscious, lucid. No one will say that. No one should be saying that. And if they are, they are lying. They must be lying, or they're unwell themselves. So everyone knows it, right? So I don't know. To me, I think they're saying we'll just let this ride because people will bank on people disliking Trump so much like they did in 2020, which was enough for us to win. Just pretend it wasn't, fixed for a second. Let's just say that they're going with that line of thinking, that enough people still hate Trump that Biden will be fine to slide back into another term. And honestly, we talked about how poor the economy is doing right now. Yes, we're having some purchasing power issues, but it's really not all bad. It isn't. I don't think it's bad enough to make Biden a one-term president. I do not.
I think it is.
Okay.
I think Trump's going to get back in.
Okay. There are some days where I feel the same way. He will not have my vote because of how he handled COVID and the George Floyd riots, but I would rather see him in there than Biden, because obviously when Trump was president, those were the most hilarious, engaging 4 years of my life.
You know what they say, right? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. I feel like the distance that Trump has, now that Trump's been out of office for nearly 4 years, that distance has soothed people's hearts that were against him for, a tiny bit.
Actually, you're making a really good point. You know why that's true? Because people, and you might be too young, I don't know, are starting to, or already have, and I don't know if this is because of Trump, come around to George Bush as a president. They adore him now more than they did before. So I think it does more than they did before. Okay, I'm not saying he's loved, but people are a little wistful and nostalgic for Bush's presidency. It used to be everyone hated him. Everyone on the left, everyone on the right. The answer to neoconservatism was putting in someone like Trump so we could get away from people like Bush. I completely understand that. But people are starting to respect him and miss him a little bit as a statesman. You can see just having that common shared demeanor of a president as previous ones and ones that, after him that weren't really Trump. So I think now that time has gone by a little bit too, even the people that have hated Trump find that was their identity, really. So that piece of them is missing. That's what I don't get. If I were a Trump hater who legitimately hated him and that was my life, why would you not vote for him? You'll have more to hate. You could become a next level hater. You know what I mean?
You just know fucking the fucking Krasenstein brothers. They're praying to God that Trump gets back in so they can have their fucking career again. You know who they are? And
Eugene Jew, MD, and Jeff Tidrell or whatever. The Trump reply. There should be like the trinity of the four horsemen of the Trump reply guy apocalypse. They should be back. There was a woman in there too. I forgot who it was that would comment all the time too. It escapes me now, but yeah, there were the Krasenstein brothers would come in with the 1-2 and always be at the top. Then Eugene Jew, then Jeff Tidrell, and then there was someone else that was hanging out in there too. But man, the legends were made. You want to talk about the pantheon of reply guys? You know what? While we're there, you know who I would love to pop in the fucking face because she's just so pathetic is his niece, Mary Trump, who writes about him and has shows about him, and her entire life revolves around knowing him and having Trump as her last name.
Let me see what she looks like.
Oh, she's terribly ugly, and she wrote a book on the psychology of Trump because she's a failed psychiatrist. So now she's able to get a second lease on life just because she's somewhat related to Trump. Yeah, but people like her, they should be praying that he gets reelected. They should be praying for that because it's the only thing keeping her around. So call it the Trump economy, right? I feel like those people prosper more than people who like him and preach him. You talk about people like Dan Bongino or Sebastian Gorka, like those people don't get it. They don't get the benefit as much for liking him than when you can just hate it. So, getting back to what I said earlier, though, the subject in general, I thought they were going to do a switcheroo for Gavin Newsom. There's a part of me that still thinks that because he would waltz into the White House, but I think he might know that this isn't the race to get into, especially since he is friends with Trump. He's quite literally friends with Trump.
Are they allowed to just switch someone out like that? I don't think they can do that, right?
They don't have a I know for the RNC it does not matter, okay? It's more of a test to see what the public, it's like a census almost, these primaries. The RNC can put in whoever they want, no matter who's voted in all of these
Really?
states.
Okay.
Yes. I don't know if the same is the true for DNC. I would imagine that it would be. I really would imagine that it would be.
So they could just pull, theoretically, they could just pull Biden out and swap him in with Newsom, and then it would be like a Newsom Kamala ticket, or would they have to take out Kamala as well?
If it were under, I don't know how they could. I don't know if they have the power to pull Biden off the ticket themselves. You know, I feel like Biden would want to have to be off of it. And so, yeah, how would you force a sitting president off of a ticket? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, and I guess we've never been in that position because being an incumbent president is the best advantage you can possibly have going into an election. So I don't think we've ever been in that instance, but now we are. So I don't know. Homework, right? Homework for everyone listening, and me too. So I'll look at that.
I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna put my eggs in with Trump again. I think he's gonna win.
I disagree, but it is getting closer and closer. So I just when you can't win as an incumbent president 4 years ago, I am highly doubting that you can do it as a non-incumbent 4 years later. It's just a math problem for me. I understand there's a lot more at play than that, but I'm just starting there, and I'm open to more communication.
Dude, if you watch the debates in 2020 between Trump and Biden, and then you compare Biden then versus the video of Biden eating lunch with like these school kids, like they came out last week. Imagine this guy at the 2024 debates. Like, he's gonna get steamrolled so fucking hard, dude. You know.
I hate to tell you, I don't believe that, because I don't think Trump is as quick-witted as he was then either. I think he's far worse off. And when Trump gets that injection, when Biden gets that injection that they gave Patrick Mahomes at Super Bowl halftime last year, and the last time that Biden did the debates, I don't know if it's like morphine or I don't like a stimulant of some kind, but he'll be able to keep it on that stage for an hour and a half just to laugh at him, call him Jack, say a few things. Trump didn't even win the debates in 2020. He didn't. Maybe he. No one came out of those thinking that. The fact that you're even pondering it.
No, I know he won. I know he won one. I want to know if I'm trying to think if he won two of them because they're.
Let's just say it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So yeah, I can't recall exactly, but either way, he didn't win. So it's pathetic. But what can you do? What can you do? I don't think he'll win, but I like that we're making our predictions now. Again, I was I wouldn't say I was wrong, but I definitely backed the wrong horse in the primaries. But that's okay. That's okay. We'll get him next time.
You were so fucking annoying about that. You were so fucking confident about DeSantis as well.
Okay, we'll do a little bit of a retrospective, right? I think looking back, I thought that DeSantis would get on the same debate stage as Trump, and there he would get his licks in. That never happened because Trump decided to not go to those debates, which at the end of the day was the correct move. And once you're on that debate stage without Trump being there, you're just in Trump's orbit. You're not anywhere. You're just circling around him. So there was no difference between DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Chris Christie. They might as well have all been the same person. And because Vivek was just a great chaos agent for Trump, no one could get a word in edgewise anyways. So, yeah. I do think at the end of the day, policy-wise, DeSantis would have been a better leader for the country than Trump could ever be. But the people don't feel the same way. So.
Honestly, DeSantis just radiates fucking pure middle management energy. So I just can't see him being the president.
I would be wrong to fight you on that.
he just doesn't have it. He doesn't have the it factor. Presidents need to have. They need to fucking. It's weird because Biden, he doesn't fucking dazzle, but he has something that DeSantis doesn't have as well. And Trump obviously has something that DeSantis doesn't have, but something like even like Biden, I could see Biden becoming a president. I could never see someone like DeSantis becoming a president.
Yeah,
but I just don't know what it is.
the word for it isn't being overly eccentric or anything like that. I think it's that fact that you can tell they think and talk big picture. You know what I mean? Trump, Biden, you can tell that someone is able to, I don't even want to say able to, but people can lead large organizations or countries when they're not fixated on the small issues and are able to talk and appeal broadly and disregard something that's not as important. And I think you have to radiate that energy that you're able to handle big issues. And when you sound like a nerd, that shows that you're nervous or unkempt or concerned with things that are too low level to be able to lead on a larger scale. It's about inspiring hope, like not hope, but inspiring confidence in people.
I think what you're saying is right, but also another thing that I just realized is I have to be able to envision that person commanding someone to do something. I can see Trump easily command someone to do something, and so can Biden. But if someone like DeSantis tells me, "Yo, do this," I'm like, why? Like, what are you gonna do about it?
I made the same mistake that I made in the 2016 election with Trump, is that I thought if you got a well-speaking conservative up there who proposes ideas like flat tax and isn't afraid to take some social fights, that would be all you need to win a presidency. That doesn't work, because that was who I thought Ted Cruz was. And granted, he did get second place in that primary, but someone like Trump, who had quote unquote it, showed up and blew him out of the water. Same thing happened again in 24. You had a similar candidate that was highly knowledgeable in policy and able to, recite the Constitution, things like that. That doesn't matter to voters. That doesn't actually matter to voters. What matters is how you present yourself and able to show that you can show ownership of situations. And
it's sort of
DeSantis
like it's sort of a wasted opportunity, because DeSantis, he sort of ran for nothing, really. If he was more pragmatic about the whole situation, what he could have done, right, is he could have not ran in 2024 for the primaries, but he could have supported Trump, went out to campaign for him, and then in this subsequent, if Trump wins, the next 4 years, because of DeSantis's position during the COVID thing and his rising star, he could be Trump's next fucking protege. He could be the successor. He could learn how to have the it factor from Trump in the next 4 years. He could be the guy that Trump hands the reins down to, but he blew it,
Yeah, I think DeSantis and a lot of people around him were completely convinced that Trump was vulnerable going into primary season, which honestly, until he was indicted and they took the mugshot of him, he was. And DeSantis, he has a small world, right? So with Florida, he's the king of the roost and couldn't see far outside of that. And he thought he could bring that show on the road. And he hitched his wagon to, I haven't thought of the term yet, Elon Musk conservatism. He launched his campaign on Twitter after it became X. And it did not work. It did not work. And this is someone that really likes him. It was not a good idea. As I was listening to it, he was just doing a bunch of rehearsed lines. I'm like, what is this? Is not going to work. He's reading from a script to Elon Musk on X. This is so stupid. There's going to be no recording of it that people can listen to, at least not immediately. It was just strange. It's not the same as going down that escalator in 14 or 15, which is going to be 10 years ago, by the way.
That's
soon.
Bizarre, dude. Holy shit.
It's horrifying. It is. Time's moving quickly. We're getting older, but it is what it is. Good discussion. Many more to come. If you guys like politics stuff, speak up. Tyson and I could talk about this stuff for hours. And also, Ari knows nothing about it. He can't. What is he going to talk about? Boris Johnson stepping down. I don't even know. I don't even know what they're doing over there anymore. But who knows if that kid's even alive? You got anything else on the back end? Or are we ready to let go here?
The Putin interview was fucking fake, but yeah, that's all I have to say.
Why was it? I'll give you 4 minutes. I'll tell you what. Say whatever you want, and I won't give my thoughts on it. So go ahead. Why was it fake?
I think we both have the same thoughts, though, which is funny enough.
Sure.
On the Putin interview, but just a criticism of how people react to it, and I know that you know what I'm gonna say soon. It's so fucking annoying after the interview came out, and the Elon Musk right that you referenced earlier. They literally couldn't stop sucking off Putin. They're like,
of course,
whoa, this guy's like fucking such a fucking genius, dude. He's like my late Age of Empires game where he's like giving Lee 30-minute spiel about history, and it's like, man, it's really telling that all these people that say, oh, this thing was so profound, it's so smart, Putin did such a good job, but the most that they could extract from this fucking interview was other people's external reactions to it. They didn't have anything they couldn't extract anything internal from it, which says a lot about how much profundity was actually in the fucking interview,
Well, when you put it that way, there were no comments going around about analysis of this interview that said, oh, okay, so the Russo-Turkish invasion in X actually amounted to this. There was no meaningful analysis coming from the right
all they
about
did
that.
was oh, Biden could never do that. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
so he's so profound that he's making the same thing that a QAnon dumbass would make. Okay, that's really cool of you.
This incredibly smart thing that I know is smart because I'm listening and say it's smart because I'm hearing it. I don't have anything to actually say about it, but what I do have to say is that Biden can't do the same thing. It's like, okay, so maybe you couldn't even decipher what you were listening to. So maybe you're not very smart, or maybe what you're listening to was just droning and boring. So I think the reaction to it was really tough to stomach. You could just say it was an old Russian man speaking to Tucker, two people from different corners of the earth who don't have the same method of communicating, and just
dude,
each other,
I know
really.
you felt this as well, but after watching that, it made me like want to be pro NATO out of spite for that, out of these people, and they got me to think. It's like, dude, okay, this is literally how they're fighting the quote unquote info war. I honestly believe that they're doing something called like cringe warfare, where if a distant group believes X, they'll combat that by just making it cringe. Like their reaction to that Putin interview made Putin cringe temporarily for me. So it's like, do you get what I'm saying?
I don't think you went in a lot of who's cringing at who?
Like they're soying out over like, oh, he's so like smart, that made me temporarily like side against Putin just because it was cringe. So it's like,
okay,
this is probably what they're doing. They're just doing cringe warfare. Anything that people support that from a distant group, they just make it cringe, and then it's not cool anymore.
It is a shame. It is a shame when you see people like fawn over these types of figures. It's like, why does it have to? In my mind, why do I have to pick a side between Russia and Ukraine? And I'm not saying that both sides are terrible. It's just, it's a foreign engagement. I'm trying to look at it objectively. I'm not even trying to make an informed decision, but there are things about Ukraine that I hate, including my bitch ex-girlfriend. And there are things about Russia that I hate that I can talk about as well. So I'd rather be able to have that conversation instead of sitting back and prostrating and genuflecting in front of Putin and saying like, yeah, he's the man. Russia's so stupid. Ukraine is so stupid. Go Russia. And for some reason believing that they're like this heralding of this great new white Christian nation when they're a bunch of Slavic degenerates, really. Why do I have to praise them? I'd rather take those dividing fights in my own country with my own issues in America. Thank you very much. And there's plenty of those to go around here. You know what I mean? I don't want to be polarizing and binary when it comes to that war. But instead it has to be like, Zelensky's so cool. No, Putin's so, it's like what are you talking about? Like, oh my gosh. But yeah, no.
It's like I I have to re-contrarianize my brain because
you are a cosmic contrarian.
Yeah, I have to re-contrarianize my fucking brain because every time I see something like that, and I'm like, wait, the once contrarian position of liking Putin is now cringe. I need to go deeper and I need to fucking lock in on this because I know principally it is right to support Putin and China. So I need to really just tune out this fucking
that's a helpful predator defense mechanism when it comes to ideology. I remember, God, maybe it's 10 years ago now, when there was some sort of astroturf campaign regarding a net neutrality bill. Do you remember that, where the internet was supposed to shut down? So all the sides, you say Reddit, for instance, or some popular media that leans to the left, was saying how bad net neutrality would be, and how, you remember a Meet or a Jeet or whatever, that guy that maybe one of Trump's better appointments. The guy was hilarious, by the way, and he would come on talk shows and dance circles around people. Ajit Pai, I think his name was. I don't know. I have to look it up. Just a minor figure in the great shonen anime arc of Trump's administration. When that was going around, I could see the root of where the information was coming from, and I thought, I don't know a lot about net neutrality, but I know what those people usually say and get behind is stupid and usually inconsequential in nature. So I actually don't support what's going on right now. And I turned out to be right, because nothing fucking happened with it. Nothing at all. I don't know. It was like the We Are Anonymous type of like a Reddit campaign, like it rebirthed into 2016 for some reason on there. I don't know what that was all about. That was so weird. It was like Occupy Wall Street all over again, and that's when it's just coming from a rotten place, so you can just make informed decisions. So just see where it's coming from.
Yeah, it's so hard, dude. When you see someone like that supporting something, it's like, even if I agree with the concept of net neutrality, you guys are not making it easy. Like, I sort of want to just abolish it. It's out of spite, for you guys.
Okay, you're coming from more of a spite direction. It's funny, my dad talks about how he'll have a friend that he knows not to see a movie when his friend tells him that he liked it. You know what I mean? So it'd be like, yeah, if he ever says this movie's good, I know that I get to stay home and not go and see it. So we have things like that in our lives.
Dude, another criticism that I had of the people that kept saying, "Oh, this guy Putin sounds so fucking smart," and in the interview, and they keep criticizing like these Western politicians and how they sound dumb. It's like, I don't think these people understand how the game is being played. Why would a Western politician bother with sounding smart? I mean, whatever they're doing, it obviously fucking works because they keep getting reelected. So
the dumber it's the dumber the better. Yeah. The dumber the better. Yeah. Trump gets elected for saying, because you'd be in jail. You know what I mean? People aren't interested in the Greco-Persian history or anything like that. That's not what we want to hear, because we're a WWE country, and sometimes I kind of like that. That's the part of being around. I'll tell you what, just because you reminded me of it and we're talking about it. The biggest problem I had with that interview was that Putin was so defensive about Russia's position and how they were mistreated by the West. It wasn't about the glorification of Russia at all. When it says we are Mother Russia, this is how we do things in our country, could have gone on the offenses about talking the glories of its country, but instead it was a therapy session about their history and how the West has mistreated them. It's like, oh, so you're really just like an impotent child of the West right now, like looking for your father's approval. I don't know.
Not really. I mean, I kind of feel like he was justified in saying the stuff that he did, because if you were Russia and then you assume, oh, Soviet Union's collapsed, so that I guess that means I get to join the Western civilized world, right? And then you just get blockaded for some weird fucking reason, that would, and then you get portrayed as the boogeyman of the world of the West. I think it was fair for him to set the record straight in that scenario.
Yeah, I'm sure it was fair for him to cry about that, but a little bit of bravado would have went a long way.
That's true.
But I think we're both partially right on that one, which is upsetting because we're supposed to be contrarian. So I hate you. How's that sound? All right, we're good to go here. Wow, it was about man. That was a long one. It's just big things happen when R's not here. That's all I'll say. So, but I just want to reiterate what we spoke about nearly an hour and a half ago. Ari, it's like, what's this again? Can I do like do you hear this on my mic? Like a Morse? Can I do like some kind of like alien like signaling to him?
We are the Zeta Reticulans. Please respond to our messages.
I don't know. I'm out of answers here. So, but Ari, if you're out there,
I'm Barack Obama, and I want you to respond to my text.
Yeah, your friends would love if you reached out to them. Okay.
All right, let me tell you, if you respond to our text, that would be tremendous.
This is from Team Trump. Please text us back at whatever.
And that's the bloody thing about Ari. He never replies to our texts.
Oh my god! What's the Bacala lobster one? What's 12 rules?
Yeah.
12 rules for being a schizophrenic.
The 13th rule: reply to your fucking text, otherwise we'll call the welfare check on you.
I'd yeah. So so I can't wait to do a breakdown of what it's like to. What's that called in the UK where you send someone to an asylum when you section them? Is it called getting sectioned?
Is it? I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so an episode on sectioning someone in the UK and how to do it, and the results. That'll be the next episode. So, until next time, hopefully I wish you all to be in good health, especially one of our missing co-hosts. We are the Contrarians of the Cosmos, and I had fun today, Tyson. So you got anything you want to say goodbye with? You finish this off. You finish this.
No, I'm good. Just pray for us. Subscribe, obviously, and let us know what you think in the comments. And pray for Ari that he gets found somewhere.
Well, it's always like and subscribe. Why can't it be pray and subscribe, right?
Exactly.
That's good stuff. All right.